Hi everyone, welcome to my channel where I talk about anything and everything. Okay, so I'd like to start off by talking about do people know the difference between legal immigration and illegal immigration? Okay, because the reason I'm saying this is because one day I remember having this debate with this girl on social media who was quite upset about the fact that I had said that my parents were migrants. My parents are legal migrants, yes. They did come over to this country, and my parents came from a very young age. So my parents actually paid taxes in this country. They worked here, everything, they bought their own home, a car, and everything that they did get was actually from money that they had made from working every single day. My dad worked ridiculous hours, okay? He would work from the morning, he would get up to late at night, okay? My dad never got home before 12 at night, and this was every day apart from the Sundays. Saturdays he would still work, but it would only be half a day. And this is the sort of hours my dad was working, okay? My parents were not sitting in hotels taking the piss, and my parents weren't sitting in hotels given benefits and a mobile phone and all of that. My parents came over with a passport, and all of that. My parents, were legal migrants who came here for work to fit into society and to be able to, live a life here and, do whatever they could to fit in. I had also my auntie who came over from a very young age. They also worked here, live here, brought up their families here and everything. And the thing is, okay, is the difference between a legal migrant and an illegal migrant is that the illegal migrants are being put into hotels. They are sitting on benefits. They literally don't work. They're just sitting there being fed, given benefits, and people aren't happy because why should we be paying for these people to be here doing nothing? And the other thing that will happen is these people will be housed into our country, okay, and they will still be supported even though they've been put into our country. They'll be put into houses and they will still be supported. My parents weren't given none of that. My parents had to work for everything they got, everything, so that is the difference. All right, this woman said to me, but the migrants are buying all the houses. No, the migrants aren't buying all the houses whatsoever. The migrants that did come over, like I said, my parents came over many years ago. And when they did buy their house, at the time, migration at the time was controlled migration. It isn't like it is now. Now is uncontrolled migration coming over, and they've just been invited in. The way I see it, they've been invited in. They're in the hotels. They're just, doing nothing, and they've just been invited into our country. Migration back then was completely different because it was controlled, and the amount of people that were coming in, they weren't coming like they are here, like now, where they're coming in their thousands and thousands and hundreds every day. It wasn't like that, It was completely different. So people back then, there was plenty of houses to go around. Not like now. People are on waiting lists for council houses and everything, and they're waiting for years and years and years, and then other people would get priority over that, like the illegal immigration, and the people that are already on the waiting list get put to the bottom because of things like this. which in my eyes is wrong, because the people you house first are the people who live here. They're the people you house first, you know, not the people who are coming over in boats. You know, those people should be sent back. If they have paid taxes in this country for so many years, right, then yes, migrants who are legal migrants should have a right to stay, you know, unless, in my opinion, if migrants come over to this country and refuse to want to work and are causing crime on our streets, then in my opinion they should get sent back, right? They should get sent back from where they came from. But this is not what they're doing, right? If they do a crime and they're coming over from another country, they put them into our jails, which then the taxpayers are paying for anyway, right? For them sitting in our jails anyway. So whether we're paying for them and they're sitting in hotels and then they go and do a crime, then they're just sitting in hotels, in jails, and still taking up a bed and food and the rest of it. When in my opinion, they should be sent back, right? But this is not what they're doing, okay? My parents have never done a crime in this country. They've paid their taxes. They've worked hard for everything they have, okay? They only own one house. They don't own more than that. And at the end of the day, you know, that is the difference between a legal migrant and an illegal migrant who are coming over just to live here and be supported. But at the end of the day, although they're coming over, they are also invited as well. You know, these people are being made comfortable to live here, they've been put into these hotels, food on the table, a bed. They are being made so comfortable. Why would they want to leave? Why would they want to leave? They have no reason to leave. They wouldn't want to leave. Would you want to leave a country if you were invited somewhere and you've been put up, you know, given a bed, given a mobile, given food, given money? Who would want to leave that? So you can understand why they wouldn't want to leave, you know. But then we only have our government to blame for that. Because if they weren't such traitors, then they would do it. They would get rid of them. Especially the ones that are causing the crimes. You know, the ones that have raped or murdered or whatever it is. They should be out of here. Gone. Fast. Quick. Gone. That's how it should be. They shouldn't be here any longer. The minute they've committed that crime, they should be out of here, right? They should not even be in the prisons, because prisons are just taking up taxpayers' money to be fed and have a bed to sleep on. You know, it's wrong. So at the end of the day, okay, whether illegal immigration and illegal immigration are very different, okay? They're very different. You know, my parents came over with a passport. These people, you don't even know who they are. They come over, some of them are saying they're even under 18. They're lying about their age. And they're not even of that age. They're a lot older. You can see when someone's an 18-year-old or when someone's a lot older than that age. You can always see. These look like grown men. Grown men coming over. Fully grown men. And taking advantage of our country and everything. But at the end of the day, they're also allowed to do it. They've been allowed to do it by our government and by our police. Okay, they've been allowed to take the mick because they are defending these people when they shouldn't be defending these people. These people should be out, okay? And that's why people are angry, why people going out on these protests, okay? And at the end of the day, you know, we need to have, it's I can't even express how frustrating it is that you literally can't do nothing about it. You know, it's really hard to express how frustrating it is that we just want to be able to do something, but we know we can't. And all we can do is just protest, which isn't even being listened to anyway. You know, people are just full of anger, you know. And at the end of the day, I just kind of wanted to explain to people the difference between an illegal migrant and a legal migrant. Because I think a lot of people do get confused between the two, right? My parents are legal migrants, but they've worked here really hard. Everything they have, everything they earn is all from money they've made, you know. And my parents came with passports. My parents have, you know, they were looked into who they were. They weren't criminals running away from, you know, or from something. They came here for work. You know, they weren't criminals running away from wars or running away from something. They were here, you know, they came here to work. That was their purpose, you know. And my grandfather and a lot of my family members, my aunties, and, you know, they all came for work. They, you know, so they knew who they were. Do you know what I'm saying? Not like these people are coming over. People don't even know who they are. You know, they're just coming from left, right, and centre. Nobody even knows who they are. You know, and that's the difference. Anyway, that's all I have to say today. And thank you for watching. And I'll see you on my next video. If you want to leave me a comment, please do. And see you on the next video. Bye-bye.